I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello. The following story is very difficult for young ears. So if you have children in the room, please watch it later or wear a set of headphones because it's a little disturbing. What is going on, not only in the United States military, but in particular, U.S. Army base Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, where 3 soldiers, 2 drill sergeants and 1 drill sergeant trainee, all 3 physically fit and all held the rank of staff sergeant, were found dead. Back in June, 40-year-old Staff Sergeant Jamie Contreras was found dead after taking place in a training exercise. Contreras, a drill sergeant candidate, had been with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, stationed at Fort Liberty, North Carolina. He had just begun 8 weeks of 10 of his training to become a drill sergeant at Fort Jackson. 2 weeks ago, 34-year-old Army Staff Sergeant Alan Bertrand from Cleveland, Tennessee, was found dead on base at Fort Jackson after he failed to report to work. Bertram had been at Fort Jackson for at least 18 months and had served in the Army for a total of 12 years. During his time in the military, he had also deployed to Kuwait and to Korea. Then, this past Saturday, 34-year-old Army Staff Sergeant Zachary L. Milton was found dead on the base, according to U.S. Army Garrison Fort Jackson in a news release. In all of these cases, officials said the Criminal Investigation Division is investigating each one, but there are no signs of any foul play. Fort Jackson is a basic combat training facility that was built back in 1917. It is host to the U.S. Army's Chaplain Center and School, the Drill Sergeant School, the U.S. Army Basic Training Center for Excellence. The tenant units on base are the 165th Infantry Brigade Training Combat, the 193rd Infantry Brigade Basic Combat Training, the 282nd Army Band, the 81st Readiness Division, the U.S. Army Drill Sergeant Academy, and several soldier support institutes. So, what does no foul play mean? It means that they died by either taking their own life, which would be suicide, they died by an accident, or they died by some sort of natural or medical condition. And what do we have currently being investigated, yet little to no news coverage? Well, I reported on this 2 weeks ago. According to a recent report by the Department of Defense, there have been a significant increase in heart-related issues among military troops after the implementation of the C vaccine. The report shows a 937% increase in heart failure. I'll repeat that because I know it sounded pretty damn shocking and maybe I got the numbers wrong, but I didn't. The report from the Department of Defense shows a 937% increase in heart failure, 152% increase in cardiomyopathy, a 69% increase in asthmatic heart disease, a 62% increase in pulmonary heart disease, a 36% increase in hypertensive disease, and a 63% increase in other forms of heart disease compared to a 5-year average before 2022. However, it is important to note that the report does not provide any conclusive evidence that the vaccine is the cause of the heart-related issues. Just possibly a coincidence. It is also worth noting that a study conducted by the American Heart Association found that cardiovascular disease affects the Army more than any other chronic disease. And the problem is getting worse. Back in 2014, there was a 9.4% of Army personnel had a cardiovascular disease compared to 6.8% in 2007. And now, after the jab, a 937% increase. The truth will prevail. Social media can shut down the facts and call it medical misinformation all day long. But what we're seeing happening with our military is very, very shocking. It's alarming. It's freaking sad. And it should wake up every human on God's earth to what in the hell we did through the CDC and the World Health Organization. I remember vividly, as does any service member that served during the first Gulf War. If you know someone that served in Desert Storm, just ask them and they will be more than happy to share the information with you. Of all of the medical conditions that came about after that war and the experimental drugs that we were given, the service members deployed over there were given before the war kicked off. We were giving an experimental anthrax vaccination because the Iraqi military had used anthrax as a bioweapon. Now, anthrax, been around for many, many years. The vaccination as well. Most meat handlers, for instance, and butcher shops and so forth, took that particular vaccine. But in this case, for the mass giving of this shot to military service members, it was not approved by the FDA. It was a new vaccination, and it had not been approved by the CDC or the World Health Organization for that matter. But we had to take it anyhow. It was specially designed for the bio portion of anthrax. We also had to take a new little pill that was designed to help in the event that you were exposed to some type of nerve agent from the Iraqi military, because they had several, and you had to use your atropine injector, then this pill would help speed up that process. Again, this was something that was experimental, massively done to all the military personnel over there. Thousands and thousands, not just US, but also coalition forces. And after the war, thousands and thousands of service members became sick and ill with all types of problems. Now, that being said, we were also exposed to a lot of different types of environmental hazards as well. Regardless, when you force something on to people, you better make damn sure you know what you're doing. And don't ever repeat it again if it turns out to be a complete and utter failure. And that's what I believe, and many believe, we are seeing happen all across the globe right now. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless and watch over those that are currently serving in the active duty military, the National Guard, and the reserves. Because what's happening to them is on an alarming scale of scary. Take care. God bless. Tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the Douglas Ducote live show. Until then, take care.